Hey everyone, it's Ethan Ormis back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another CDL Pick'em predictions video, and yeah, let's get into it. We've got some fun matches this weekend, that's for sure. I'm very excited. Yeah, so let's hop into it. Today, we're starting off the day with Toronto versus Paris, and it's a pretty interesting series because, of course, you'd imagine Toronto wins this series. You know, where is Paris at right now? Are they on the up? Are they on the down? Where's Toronto at, to be fair? Are they on the up? Are they on the down? But yet again, for yet another weekend, someone on Toronto has COVID. It was Bance tested positive today for COVID, so again, yet another player on Toronto to get COVID. And as Bance tweeted last weekend, there's only been one weekend of qualifiers so far where one of the players has not had COVID, and 100% it absolutely does affect them. Even though, I mean, you look at last weekend, Kleenex had COVID, he was playing at home, he was obviously still doing pretty well. But still, it definitely affects the team. It affects how that individual is playing. But yeah, I mean, you kind of got to take that into consideration. So ultimately, I think I might give Paris map 1, unfortunately. But I think Toronto will clean sweep them after that. A 3-1 series. I mean, I could obviously see it being a 3-0. I don't really see it being a 3-2, and I don't really see Paris taking this series, but who knows? Maybe with an extra week with Jimbo, this Paris team is really onto something. So only time will tell. Then we move on to the Battle of LA, the Gorillas and Thieves, which is a really fun series because honestly, I think the Gorillas are the better team right now, which is crazy to say. We have arguably the two best hardpoint teams at the start of the season. I mean, of course, the Thieves were number 1, and there was a time where the Gorillas were really, really great at hardpoint, but the Gorillas are definitely better in search and destroy right now, I think, so I definitely give them map 2. I think the Thieves will take maps 1 and 3. I could see the Thieves, or the Gorillas, pushing it to map 5. And then, honestly, I think I'm going to give it to the Gorillas. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it to the Gorillas. The Thieves really have not looked great over the past couple weeks. I mean, to be fair, they've had some tough opponents, of course, playing the Rokkr, but they got reverse swept by the Rokkr, which is not a good thing at all. They lost a control to the Rokkr. They lost a hard point to the Rokkr. You know, that's obviously not very good. And then you look at week 1, the Ravens, it was not a close series really at all. And then Texas, I mean, you know what? It was a map 5, but apart from that, I mean, yeah, I can't believe I have them going 0-4 right now. That's crazy. Then we have Florida versus FaZe. And I mean, FaZe is an interesting team. They also are a team that really has not looked that great, I feel. They aren't really living up to the standards of what Atlanta FaZe has done. But I mean, no, I don't think Florida wins this series, but I think Florida can win a map. I really do. I would probably have to be map 1, I would assume, like, say it's Bocage. I would imagine it is Bocage HP, because both of these teams love Bocage HP. I mean, obviously Atlanta is very good on that map, but I could see Florida squeaking one out. I really could. I mean, Vivid versus Abizi, obviously you're probably taking Abizi, but Vivid is a different beast, and I mean, Awakening is one of the only ARs, I think, in the game that could really go at it with Celium, so, and I think Skies and Vivid can definitely keep up in slaying against Abizi and Simp, so we'll see it. I'm very intrigued to see how that goes. So, no sweeps on day 1, ultimately. Then we move on to day 2. We go to the Thieves versus the Surge. I'm really not high on any of these, or either of these teams right now, but I'm going to give the series to the Thieves, which means half them going 1-4. I think the Surge could probably take the Search or Control. I mean, that one's kind of just a coin flip for me, but yeah, I mean, you know, who knows. And then, you know what, Breach versus Florida. I don't think this series will be that close. I do think the Breach are the much better team, arguably the best team in the league right now alongside Optic, so, which is awesome to say. I love Zin, so Very, very cool. I want to see that team succeed. Do I give Florida a map? I mean, Florida could maybe take the control. Neither of these teams are good at control, or great at control, I guess. No, I think I'm going to go for a 3-0 breach. I could see maps 1 and 3 being close. Map 2 probably not as well. I don't know, map 2 could be close. I don't know. You know what, yeah, I'll give Florida a map. You know what, I could see them probably winning any map against this team, but yeah, ultimately I do think the Breach will win relatively easily. And then we have Optic versus the Gorillas, and honestly, I think this might be a bit of a stomping. I don't think the Gorillas are a bad team at all, but I just think Optic is going to be the better team here. And ultimately, I just don't think it'll be that great of a showing from the Gorillas on Saturday. Then on to end off Saturday, we have Minnesota versus New York, which is a fun series. Who is going to win a hard point in this series? God only knows. I'll give map 1 to New York and map 2 to Minnesota. Map 3 to New York. Do I give map 3 to New York? I really honestly think New York can win this series. I really do. Honestly, I'm gonna give it to them. I do think they can beat the Rokkr here. I don't think the Rokkr are a great team right now. I still think they have a lot to figure out. And ultimately, I'm gonna give it to the Subliners. Screw it. Why not? Then we go to Sunday, Boston versus London, which will be an incredibly fun match to watch. I'm very, very excited to watch that one. Who is going to win that series is the question. My God. I mean, I'm really torn on all 3 of Sunday's series just because I'm so worried about how COVID is affecting Toronto, and I'm so worried about how good this New York team could be because there was so much life in this New York team against Paris. So, you know, that's another thing. I mean, I have New York beating the Rokkr, but they only beat Paris, and Paris has not looked very great recently, so, maybe I'm putting too much faith into New York, but screw it. I'm going to stick with New York for that. Man, this is really tough. I'm going to give map 1 to the Ravens and map 2 to the Breach. I would imagine no matter what, the control is going to the Ravens, and yeah, you know what? I'm gonna give the Ravens a 3-1 edge over the Breach, which means the Breach go 4-1 through qualifiers, which is not bad at all. Yeah, I mean that's not bad at all. Good for them. Optic versus FaZe. Is it going to be different than the last 2 series? I mean, not only is it tough to beat a team 2 times in a row, but can a team do it 3 times in a row? I mean, Toronto did it a lot against Optic last year, but, it's FaZe. FaZe is a very different team. There's always that scarcity of FaZe, so who am I going to give it to? This is really tough. I always come into these predictions blind. I don't really do my predictions beforehand. I always go off the cusp and, who I think could win, and ultimately, I think it's the most raw way of doing these predictions instead of thinking about it too much. But, I try to keep these videos relatively short, but a lot of it is just me thinking about who I'm going to be choosing. I'm going to give map 1 to Optic, map 2 to Atlanta, map 3 to Optic, and you know what? I'm going to give it to Optic in 4. Which means I think FaZe will be, what, 3-2 this week? Which is crazy. I think that's going to be the worst week of qualifiers for FaZe, ever. Because, they lost to the Surge. I'll have them going 3-2, which will be very interesting. And then we've got Toronto and New York to end things off. 2 bad hardpoint teams. I don't know who wins that. But I think Toronto wins this series. I mean, I would imagine they're better in search and probably control. Is it a 3-0? No. I do think New York's better than Paris. So I don't think New York should get 3-0'd. I'll give them a map as well. I mean, I could see them opening up the series similarly against, or similarly to how the Paris series goes, but only time will tell. We'll save the predictions, lock them in. There we go. So, that will be it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy. Let me know your predictions for today's matches. This is the last week of qualifiers, boys. Then we're going to Major 2, which I'm very excited about. And you know what? I haven't shown this off for a little while, but let's show you guys the CDL sheets that I've been working on. So as you guys know, I mean, I have all my, or every tournament or event that we've had so far in the Call of Duty League. I'm not doing the CWL, I'm just doing the CDL. And obviously, Crim6 has won more than 4 events, but this is just for the CDL. So I have every home series from Modern Warfare and every host. We'll say, of course, most of the year was online. I have the series count and how many chips each player has and as a franchise has. Then again, same thing in Cold War. I have the same thing, and then so far in Vanguard, of course, I have the same thing. So I believe I had shown you guys a few weeks ago that Optic Texas had 7 wins, but it's actually 5 because it's considered Dallas. Dallas's franchise is not considered Chicago's, so obviously, you're combining the 2 rosters, but you're not combining the 2 organizations, really, even though that is what happened. So it's under the Dallas organization, so that means it was their 5th win. Because I had said that made them the winningest franchise, but technically not. So Atlanta is still the winningest franchise. But I've been going through the teams and where they place. So again, Atlanta, how many tournaments and rings they have, and then I go through each year with a roster, and again, each home series plus the date, how much they won, their game earnings, plus their total earnings. So right now in Vanguard, or as of Vanguard, as of March, 25th today, this franchise of Atlanta has won a little over $3 million. And we look at the Breach. Of course, they're brand new. You go back to the Huntsman. This is only Modern Warfare. You look at Chicago Optic or Optic Chicago, of course. This is just Cold War. But with their earnings, since it's the same franchise between the Huntsman and Optic here, it's the same franchise, so the earnings are still here. As a franchise, they won 2 events. And they won a little over $1 million. And then you look at the Empire. This is just as the Empire, so it's just last year and the year before. So $2 million, a little over $2 million with Cold War. I haven't gotten to Texas yet. And so then you look at Florida, London, and I'm working on the LA Gorillas right now. I haven't updated this. I just copy and paste the layout I have from Atlanta's page here, and then I continue everything. So I have roster changes as well. I would eventually like to go through each roster change and add the date, just so it's a little more accurate. And I have a couple of different things for each franchise. So, of course, again, roster moves. And, of course, I have, unfortunately, Pharaoh's passing date in between games, between Cold War and Modern Warfare. And, again, like I said, so I just did not mean to do that. So, again, I am currently working on LAG. I only made it to the Dallas Empire home series. Obviously, this isn't accurate. They've only won $30,000 as a franchise so far, which is terrible. They pay more than that for one player a season alone, and they've only won $30,000. And then I've got LAOG back from Modern Warfare up next. I think it's a total of 14 teams in CDL history. It's 14 or 15, I don't remember, but yeah, after Optic, I'll just have a few more teams left, and I'm getting all my information from the Call of Duty Wii Sports, the Call of Duty Esports wiki, which is pretty useful. I just sort by Premier only. I'll filter it, so of course I'm looking at the Gorillas right now. This is, you see only $30,000 have won, that has this organization won, but I would imagine that will change this year, but we shall see. So, of course, yeah, I do plan on making a video on that once I am completely done. But yeah, overall, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.